Icon family, I'm back. I had to take a call to help out another customer of mine, client of mine. Let me get my camera all set up. All right, guys, I hope that you all had a fantastic day. This is still Mental Health Month. It's always Mental Health Day as far as I'm concerned. So every day, please take care of your mental health. Again, if you need to speak with a therapist, you have nothing to be ashamed about. Therapy is the bomb. There are some great mental health doctors available, and if you have a qualified health plan like Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna, those type of programs, you can find a mental health provider. Even if you don't, if you have Medicaid, you can find a mental health provider, and it's very important to incorporate that if you're struggling with waking up and getting up in the morning, getting yourself dressed. Like, just the thought of doing something is exhausting you, where it stops you, like it paralyzes you from getting anything accomplished in the day. Go talk to a licensed counselor, find a psychologist, right? And get yourself the help that you need so that you can be your best icon self. All right, it's going to take courage to cross over to be that best part of you, but you can do it. You can do it. All right, guys, now let's just pivot just a little bit. I want to ask you guys a question, right? And I'm thinking that I'm going to call one of my former colleagues who is a therapist, and I'm going to ask him if he will come on and tape with me about this particular subject. So I'm going to throw this out here with you guys, and then I'm going to follow up this video with the clinical perspective. So, I recently had a conversation with a friend of mine, and I've known this gentleman for a very long time, right? And he's cool, we talk, it's all cool, but we don't communicate well. Our style of communicating it's like two ships passing. It just doesn't work, right? And we find ourselves either stuck in conversation, or we keep going back and forth to seek understanding. Let me say that. So recently, he wants to talk. So I was like, okay, I'll see what he wants to talk about. And from my perspective, I continuously tell him that he doesn't communicate well with me. And so he wanted to explain a little bit more in depth about his communication style. And so, to his credit, he did give me some insight that I didn't have before, which made sense. And I thought, okay, I understand that part. However, it still doesn't mean that communication needs to be worked on. Like, this is an area that's not good. And this is when the conversation got this is when we got stuck. So I was able to tell him a while back my observation of him, and he immediately perceived it as a judgment. Oh, if you're gonna start judging me. And I said, I'm not judging you. What are you talking about? But he perceived my observation as judging him. So this happened a while ago. So now here recently, a couple of days ago, when we're gonna have another talk, he brings this judgment up again. And I said to him, What do you mean judging you? What have I judged? How have I judged you? I don't understand what you're talking about. And when you said X, Y, and Z, and I said, well, that's not a judgment. That is what I observed. And I said, to me, a judgment is when somebody assumes something about a person. And 9 times out of 10, no, maybe 10 out of 10, when you assume you know something about someone, that is a judgment, right? I said, I'm not judging you. I am telling you what I observed from your behavior. And the conversation got stuck, guys. He could not or would not let it go that my observation was not a judgment. Now, I think he knew that my observation was spot on. And I think that bothered him. And he couldn't, he wasn't able to spin me, so to speak, to suggest that my observation was a judgment and I was wrong. That's what I think. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you think when someone tells you what they observed from your behavior, do you consider that a judgment, or do you consider it as an observation? Do you own it and realize, you know what? I need to work on this. This is, I can see what this person is saying because I know that I do this and I really need to work on it. Or do you try to spin the person to make them think that what they see is a judgment, which is assumption where they're wrong? Okay? Think about that for a little bit, guys. And then I'm going to make a call to my friend that is a psychologist, and I'm going to ask him to come on and follow up with that. And we're going to talk about that from a male perspective. When a woman tells a man what she observes, what is it about that the man perceives that as a judgment? All right, guys. So that's it. Real quick video. Take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Love on yourself. Be kind to others. And don't walk around sad, depressed, frustrated, angry. Don't do that to yourself. You are your own unique icon. And I want you to face the things that are bothering you, get some help in learning tools, how to cope with it, and get better, right? That's the journey that we're on here at the Be Icon Courage to Crossover platform. So I will see you guys on another video. Take care. Love you. Bye. Okay, all right. I think we are good to go. We finally worked out all the technical glitches.
Right.
Goodness for the young people. Thank you, Amira. Don't cut this out, because if it wasn't for you, this YouTube channel would not be growing the way it has been. So you know that you are dear to me, and I thank you so much for always making time to help me out with my editing and getting things set up. So Be Icon family, how are you doing today? I hope you're having a great day. We are still in what we call Mental Health Month, but I believe that every day is a day to take care of your mental health. And so we have a special guest today. We're going to do some editing and connect a video that I previously recorded where you heard me say I'm going to call a friend of mine. And so I'd like to introduce my friend. This is Dr. Demitri Kornegay. I want to thank you so much for agreeing to talk about the topic that I shared with you earlier about observation being interpreted as a judgment. And so I sent you the video that I recorded, so you had a chance to look at it. Right. And I just want to give you the floor to share your thoughts on how Did I miss something in the conversation? Do you think, was there a way that I could have communicated where I would have been, how I want to say, more clear, wherein my friend understood what I was saying? Or was I right that he just took defense because what I observed was right? I'm still confused how he thought it was a judgment.
Well, sometimes you have to remember when you're talking to someone who is not in your particular sphere of influence. A lot of times we all speak English, but our words mean a lot of different things. There's what is said and what is meant. And thank you, first of all, Icon Group, for having me on and having this opportunity. I view it as a privilege, and I won't try to embarrass anybody, especially myself. But like I said before, it depends on the group that you're with. I mean, we can say one thing and it means one thing and it means totally something different, although it's still English. So that's why I think if you go think of it as love languages. Someone can say, for instance, with my wife, this is the thing. She loves to say, "Aren't you hungry? Don't you want to eat something?" And that means that's translated to me from her as, "I want to eat something. Where do you want to go?" You know, so you're telling me you want to eat, but you're trying to make it sound like my idea. Okay, now some people, depending upon, and here we go with the judgment observation. It's an observation. She made a statement. I can judge whether or not I should think about it, because you got to consider the source. Always consider the source. But you're thinking about, is she trying to play me by trying to con me into taking her somewhere, or is that the way that she talks? Is that the way she was taught to communicate?
Time out. Time out. You can't talk about Miss Angie. Miss Angie is not trying to play you, Dr. Kornegay.
I know that. But it took me some time to learn that.
That's interesting. Why do you think that that's a play on you?
Because you want to go eat. So why don't you just say you want to eat instead of don't you want to get something to eat? You know, it's like, if you wanted to eat, say you want to eat. And see, men take it as that way because we are taught by our mothers that there are women who will try to take advantage of you and try to put the idea in your head what they want to do. So when you approach me like that, instead of just saying straightforward, I mean, I know we're simplistic, we're men, okay, and what that means is straightforward. I'm hungry, let's go eat. Okay. But instead of saying that, it's, aren't you hungry? You know, in other words, aren't you hungry? So it's your idea. Let's both go get some, and while you're going to get something to eat, I'll get something to eat too. And so,
I can go for that because I raised my daughter in that same kind of lens. Like, you have to be careful when you're talking to a young man because, you know, he may be trying to manipulate you. And
exactly,
so
trying to manipulate.
Attention to, like you say, the how you're communicating and how
did you deliver the message?
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
How did you package it? How did you put it together that, okay, you're hungry, but you want them to take you to get something to eat, and you want them to come too. So you try to make it say, aren't you hungry? Don't you want something? In other words, what can you say? And see, most guys look at this. Why couldn't you just say, "Oh, well, I'm hungry. I want to get something to eat. Don't you?" Yeah. Because we would have appreciated that straightforward honesty right there. I'm hungry. First of all, think about it, dissect it. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Don't you want something to eat too? And even if you don't, I still said I'm hungry, and you don't have to eat, but I'm going to go get something to eat.
Right.
Instead of, are you hungry? Because if you're hungry, then we'll both go get something to eat. And you make it sound like it's my idea. And see, that's the difference between, it's that very fine line of gaslighting, you know, of conning somebody. Because then you're trying to do like a pimp would do. You're trying to make me think that what you want, what I want is what we want, as opposed to you want that. Yeah. And you're just trying to manipulate me into getting it. And see, guys don't like that. They don't like, I mean, we know we can be played by y'all, and y'all are much smarter than us. So what we have to do is try to make sure, you know, we say, everybody says they want truth. But, you know, let's look at it this way. Judgment. Judgment is the ability to make considered decisions based on conclusions. Sensible conclusion, and the key word here is sensible conclusions. Whereas an observation that's just a process of viewing something that, you know, carefully in order to gain information. You look at it if you're observing and you're seeing what's happening, but then you cannot help but let your past experiences influence on how you see that. Think about it. Perfect example: black kid and a white kid walking down the street. Black kid's got a gun in his hand. The police are going to come up and just shoot him.
Right.
White kid has a gun in his hand. They're going to offer him a beverage. How do you do that? Again, this is a fact here.
Yeah.
That has happened. How do you do that? It's because they both made the same observation that this was an individual with a firearm. But based upon their experiences and what they have come to believe those people or the person holding the firearm represents, that's how they determine how they're going to react to that person. That's the judgment they make.
Right. Okay. Put a quarter right there in the meter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Icon family, full disclosure, Dr. Kornegay is a retired police officer.
Right.
So I don't want you to say, oh, well, why would he say that? He's saying that because it is facts. He's seen it. He's worked it. So this is where we are, right? But I want to go back to something that you said. So I observed this person's behavior.
Okay.
Right. And I shared my observation with this person.
Right.
Right. He didn't say, oh, no, my eyes deceived me. He didn't say that because he knows what I observed is true.
Right.
So I guess I still am stuck with why would he then turn around and say, oh, you're judging me?
I would think that, and as you learn more, you do better. Okay. And you respond in a better way. I think that if you would go back to him 10 years later, saying it with wisdom, he would say, okay, I think you misunderstood what I said. And that's the key. Rather than jump, when you're young, you're quick to jump in, you're following your hormones and you're quick to jump and get angry about this, that, the other. When you're a little bit older, you start to think, okay, perhaps this person misunderstood what I was saying. And that's the difference. In other words, you're basing what you said, but I didn't mean that at all. You're basing what you're saying now on what you saw, but I didn't mean that at all. And when you can tell someone that first you correct them by saying, I didn't mean that at all. And then you follow it up with, here's what I meant. And then when you can hear that, you begin to understand as well yourself. Okay, well, he didn't mean to gaslight me. He wasn't trying to con me. He was just trying to tell me what was going on. And he was coming from an honest position. But we're too quick to get angry, too fast to assume that, okay, why you got to judge me? Okay, well, everybody makes those judgment decisions based upon what they've seen, based on the experience that they have. So what you have to be able to do is say, wait a minute. And even if you don't know, and this is what clinicians do all the time, therapists, think about it. They'll say, are you telling me that? And then they'll spell out what they think they heard you say.
Right.
That way, that gives you a further opportunity to clear it up.
Right.
To make sure, instead of just jumping like he did on the bandwagon and saying, well, here's what I hear you saying. No. Is this what you said?
Right.
And then we can work off that. That's the smart way to do it, frankly, because then we're clearing up, and that's the essence of the entire argument. Clear it up. Clear the air. See, or you can just go on like he was going to do and just go off misunderstanding. And what does that get you?
Here's what I think. Okay, here's what I think. I think that because I said what I observed was something that I wasn't interested in entertaining. Let me say that. Right? Certain things are deal breakers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I've been through enough, lived through enough red flags. I don't ignore them anymore. Yeah. No, real talk. I don't ignore them anymore. Because I said to a girlfriend of mine the other day, she said how we don't see the red flags. And I said, no, I think we see them. I said, we choose to ignore them.
That's true.
I said, until the person does something that brings a hammer down, right? And the situation is fractured. I said, and then you separate yourself from the person. I said, every red flag you ignore comes back to the forefront of your mind.
That's true.
And she said, you know what? You're right. I said, so we don't ignore it. We don't not see it. Excuse me. We don't not see the red flag.
You're giving the person enough rope to hang themselves.
we make a conscious decision to ignore it. Oh, well, maybe he didn't really mean that. Yes, he did.
He can't mean that. He can't mean that.
He did mean it. He said it. Yes, he did. So I'm going to pivot a little bit. So when I said to this person, I see you do these things, right? I'm not with it.
Okay.
It's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that you're not for someone else,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with us just being platonic friendships. I
Mm-hmm.
really, truly am, because I've seen enough of your behavior
To know it doesn't suit
to
you.
know that it sets off a red flag for me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, that I'm like, deuces, we're good. But when he went through, you're judging me, I said, no, I'm not judging you. I'm telling you what I see you do. But I'm trying to, and he couldn't explain to me. And then, you get that pause.
Yeah.
When you say, well, I saw you do X, Y, and Z. And then it's like the deer caught in the headlight movement. And I'm like, you
How
can't
about
go back and say you didn't do it, because you did do it.
I'm not judging you. I'm basing you what I see you do on my previous experiences, and I'm deciding that doesn't work for me.
Right,
And,
exactly.
and exactly, it doesn't
So,
work for me.
so it gets thrown back at me as a judgment, which I think is a negative connotation, because to me, Dr. Kornegay, and I could be wrong, to me, when someone judges you, they're making an assumption about you. And I have learned that you assume you're wrong. Your
Mhm.
assumption is not wrong.
Well, you can make sure. Well, the way you handle that is you try to clear it up. You clarify, and that's why you ask the question. You go further depending upon your degree of interest. See, that's how.
Oh,
What are you trying to do here? Are we trying to have a serious relationship? Are we trying to be platonic friends? Because a lot of times we just know our friends. We know the character of the people that we hang around with, and with some we can take or leave. But if you're talking about having a serious relationship, then then you take the time, I think, to say, "Excuse me for a moment. Are you saying that?" This,
mhm,
that, the other. Because if I hear you saying that, and think about it, if you're thinking about getting in a relationship with this person, you owe it to them to at least let them know how you think too, and
right,
you let them know where you base your logic, what you base your logic upon.
right,
I've seen this, I've seen that. Okay, are you telling me that you want to do it this way and that way? And maybe I'm misconstruing this, and I don't want to misunderstand it, because we could be missing out on a good thing here, or we could clarify it to let and that way we firmly know where everybody stands. And once we know where everybody stands, you understand why I look at things the way I do. You'll understand, and you could call it now. It's a judgment call for me. I'm not judging you. I'm just looking at what you're doing. I'm observing what you're doing, and I'm deciding whether or not that works for me. I'm
right,
judging me. I'm not
right,
judging you. I'm not telling you not to do anything. You can be guilty, innocent, this, that, the other. All I'm telling you is whether or not that works for me.
right,
And you still have a right, and you reserve the right to decide for yourself what's going to work for you.
right,
And if it doesn't work for you, then you have that right, once again, to let them know this isn't working for me. And
right,
here's why.
right,
I think you also owe them an explanation after you clear up what their intentions were. And the thing was, once you hear their intention, it might be, well, I didn't mean that at all. How'd
mm,
you get that? How'd you get that out of that? Here's where I'm looking. And see, a lot of times, once we find out what someone else defines as love, we talk about this an awful lot. The idea is love to one person is totally off the mark to somebody else. Some
mhm,
love to some people, dare I say it, is getting their heads whipped beat in every Friday night
yeah,
after he gets drunk and comes home from work. Love to
right,
somebody else means I can do what I want, and cheat on you, and go where I want, and you're just supposed to understand that. See, love, we say we love each other, but we don't explain what love means to
yeah,
us or how we define love. And this is the negotiation phase when you're getting to know somebody in a relationship. And that's why you got to clarify. Here's what I mean when I say love. Here's what I mean when I say affection. Here's what I say when I mean friend. Here's what I say when I mean this. Here's what I mean when
right,
I say these things. That way, you got me there. But see, if we're just going to assume that you said friend, well, friend to you means blah, blah, blah. Well, it don't mean that to me. Who this N word coming through here? Who's this? You said he was your friend, but blah, blah, blah. How long you known this friend and this, that, the other? And I tell you, well, she my friend. How come you coming out your friend's house at 2:00 in the morning? Blah, blah, blah. That ain't no friend. See, that's what I'm saying. We
exactly.
didn't bother to clarify our
Yeah,
definitions.
yeah.
Once you
It's
start,
weird. It's really weird. And I think, back to thinking about the conversation, not once did he say, Mel, you're not viewing that right,
you don't
or
know how.
I'm not how do you say, like a computer, like computing the information right.
Mhm.
And he couldn't say that, Dr. Cornegay,
A lot
because
of us don't know how.
people said
I mean,
what I said to him, he does these things.
I can give you the batting average of the New York Yankees. I can tell you how many triple doubles the Lakers did this year. But a lot of times, especially guys, we can do that, but we can't sometimes get into love languages because number one, we're just getting into that point where when you deal with a woman, depending upon who you were raised by, some people say you got to get over on them. And what that means is how you get over on it. Well, you got to get what you want out of the relationship. Well, who decides what that is? And then you talk about being able to talk to somebody and still have the upper hand or feel like you have the upper hand. What's the upper hand? Well, it's a well-known fact, whoever is least emotionally involved in the relationship has the most power. And so what happens?
Wait. Good one. Wait. That's going to be a hashtag. You said the person who is least emotionally involved in the relationship has the what? Upper hand?
Retains the most power, because then you could just drop and walk away at any time. But if I'm dead up in love with you and I'm thinking about you every moment and singing songs and all that kind of stuff, I'm thinking about you all the time, then all that's going to happen, then you hold the power. You can break my heart. You can have me walking around crying in my beard. You can have all that kind of stuff. And see, most guys are afraid. For most men, the last thing we want to do is be seen as weak, particularly in the eyes of a woman that we adore. Women, it's been my experience anyway, that men want to be admired, women want to be adored. And because of that, we have our different goals here. Yeah. And when you're with the different goals, you want me to show my adoration of you. I think about you all the time. I can't get you off my mind, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's where the songs come from. Okay, I want you to admire me as someone who could be your leader and someone who could actually protect you and all that sort of stuff. So when we don't quite make that, then we feel like that we're slipping down in the polls, and you might reach for or look for somebody else that could better fit that bill. And men, like we said before, I think we talked about it one time, men are our egos are, to be so strong physically, we have egos that are really very, very fragile.
Yes.
And and women are, I think, sometimes are to the exact opposite.
Right.
You might not be as physically strong, but you have a very, very strong emotional base. You're very, very strong. So
which can make us weak, which can make us
which can act against you as well.
Right.
And so what with guys, like I think we talked about it. Like infidelity. Okay. You had a past, I have a past. All God's children got a past. But the thing is this. Me hearing about your past could shake me to my core, as opposed to you hearing about my past. And that's the way, I don't know if that's society saying that, men supposed to go out and do it. Well, who are they supposed to go out and do it with? And women were fooling around with the whole linebacker core of Washington Redskins. Then all of a sudden they decide to go straight. It's like, how can I deal with a woman who's been with all them guys?
Yeah.
Dude, but that was then.
Yeah.
They didn't know you were coming.
Right.
You don't know, for all of our conversation today, May 27, 2023, we don't know what's going to happen, or even if we're going to be here May 27, 2024.
Right.
And anything we say, is based upon the information we've gathered thus far. It past that, you're going to be looking at, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were going to be here, baby. I had no idea that I was going to meet you.
Right.
So against me for what I did way back when.
Right. Right.
I tried to learn from it, but I mean, there's nothing that we can do about it. I mean, I was with her. It's like when you divorce, you get married and divorced. You thought everything seemed like a good idea. That we'll make a joke out of it, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. And it did. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But then as time progressed and things happened, events occurred, it wasn't that great an idea. Exactly. People change, they grow. Sometimes they grow together, sometimes they grow apart. But like I said, what seemed like a good idea at the time ain't a good idea no more.
Right.
So that's how you work with that. And see that a lot of people they lack the emotional maturity to actually think about it from that perspective, because then it's like you want to stay back in the days when you don't know nobody but me, and the wife I'm gonna have is a virgin. Those sometimes Middle Eastern type of ideas that the woman's got to be a virgin when she gets married, and this, that, that. It sounds nice. Yeah. it sounds very, very nice. Yes. But to be realistic, I mean, you have no more right. And I've had to tell some guys this: you wanted her to be a virgin, but were you a virgin when y'all hooked up? Mm-hmm. then okay, why is it you feel that? Well, she a hoe. She a hoe. Oh, and you're a playboy. Oh, playboy ain't nothing but a male hoe.
Right,
You can't say,
right,
dude,
right,
come on now.
right, right.
How real are you going to be? I mean, what are you looking for? Are we looking forward, or are you going to hold someone's past against them? In some ways, you look at the experiences of things that they have experienced, and you look at how much they've learned, but it could be to your benefit, But I mean, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Where do
Now
you want to be?
let me say this. Let me say this. Now, what I observed from this person happened a while ago,
Okay.
right? It's just earlier this week, we talked about it. Well, let me say this. We talked about it in depth. Like I
Okay.
got some more clarity because I keep saying to this person, you don't communicate well with me. So I'm not saying that he doesn't communicate well,
He just
period.
has a problem with you.
I'm just saying with me,
Mm-hmm.
you don't communicate well. So it goes back to something you said. It's how I communicate,
It's it.
how I perceive, good communication.
Mm-hmm.
But how he communicates, I don't perceive it as that, right?
Right.
So, and I said this to his credit, he did give me some insight about why he communicates the way he does,
Right.
which I said, okay, now that makes sense. But it still doesn't mean that it's good communication for me.
For you. Exactly. You have to, you determine that by deciding, okay, am I going to take the time to develop a mental glossary of when they say this, they mean that.
Right.
Because that way, quote unquote, you get to know your person. You get to know the individual. When they say this, they mean that. It's like there's what is said and what is meant. There's what is, and then there's a third step. There is said, what is meant, and what is heard. If I come in the house or you come in my house and say this place needs to be cleaned up, then I could take it as number one, you don't think I keep a clean house.
Yep.
Number two, you think I should clean it up. Number three, all that. Like I said, there's what is said, there's what is heard, and then what is meant.
Right.
And see, when you got to try to align all of those together if you're going to have a really fruitful conversation, because of the fact that what you mean, you might say what you mean, but I might hear something totally different. I'm tired of this. Tired of what? Tired of what? What are you talking about? Tired of what? What happened that got you so tired or so frustrated to the point where you're going to come and bring this to me? And are you tired of something I did? Tired of something? Tired of these circumstances? I mean, and I've seen where people sit in the driveway of their home with their hands at 10 and 2 o'clock on the steering wheel, not wanting to get out of the car and go in the house for the hell that they know they got a face in there because they're trying to communicate with the person in there. And it's like, I got to go in here. I got to talk to this woman. How am I going to say this? But see, the good part is you're at least taking the time to say, okay, here's what I'm going to say. And then I got to wait for their response and based upon their response, you'll know whether or not you're meeting the mark or they totally don't understand what you're saying and what you meant to say and get the point across.
Yeah. Just this doesn't get it. And I think that maybe, I don't know, maybe the thing is that I'm saying this is about as far as it's going to go. We just friends. And maybe that is why I'm getting the pushback that I'm judging him.
Right.
I'm still saying, no, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying for me,
this isn't working.
it's not going to, no, for real, it's not going to work. But it doesn't mean that I think you're a horrible person.
No.
But just for me and what you're showing me, it's not, it's we're going to keep being two ships sailing in the wind, hey, how you doing? Every now and again. And I'm fine with that.
There's a disappointment that comes there. I think it's a disappointment that's in there. When you say, okay, I thought, it starts out, every wonderful, it's nice to know you. It's great to know the kind of person that you're becoming, blah, blah, blah. It's great, you're so fine, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is when you start pulling back those layers, peeling back those onion layers and saying, okay, does this work? Can we work out together? And when you start to discover that you can't, or this isn't going to work for you, or what can work for me, no one likes to be rejected. And the rejection part, that rejection part, when it's like, okay, damn, I thought this was going to be fantastic. I saw, she saw this, she saw that, but then she decided I might not be what she wants.
Yeah.
that happens. I mean, I'm sorry,
Yes.
that's what happen. It's better to find it out now.
And I'm thinking, I'm being like real clear. Like, look, this is about the extent of what you get from Mel. And you know what? And I really had to, I'm telling you, Dr. Kornegay, the more I said, the more he looked stuck. Because I wasn't saying anything that he could say wasn't true. Here's a good point. Here's a good point. I said to him, I said, do you realize that every time we have a conversation, it's a list. You have a list of things for Mel to do. Mel, I need you to do this. I'm telling you, Mel, I need you to do this. Mel, I need you to do this. Mel, can you help me out with this? Mel, I need this. I said, it's always about you. I said, do you? And he's looking like this. And I'm like, look, Mel, I don't need a list from you from what you want Mel to do. Okay. I don't need that. And I said to him, I said, have you ever asked me, Mel, what can I do for you? Mel, what's going on with you? You know, talk to me. Is there anything going on since the last time I talked? Is there anything I can do? And Dr. Kornegay, and he's like this. And I'm just like, dude.
It sounds like.
Do you hear what I'm saying to you?
No, because he never had to. I don't know who this guy is, but it sounds as if, tell me if I'm wrong, he is someone who is used to dictating or being in charge. He is someone who is usually, because he got big bank, he is used to coming out and telling women what he wants, because every woman he surrounds himself with is willing to bend over backwards far enough to kiss her own ass, so that she can get the reap with the rewards. And reaping those rewards means doing what he says when he says to do it. And that's why he is used to giving those orders to women who are anxiously awaiting for him to tell them what they want, what he wants to do, so they can get what they want.
My neck is like a bobblehead. Yes.
You can look at it, that's the relation. That's what it's based on.
You're hitting the nail on the head. And I'm telling you, and I said, oh my gosh, I said to him before, right? Because listen, there will be a long period of time that I won't speak to this person. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. It's just that communication doesn't keep me engaged. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's always great. And so, when they call back and it's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, hi, whatever. He comes with the same thing again. And I'm like, I said, listen, you in this mail list, no, this is just not. I'm not
he should have been listening. He should have been listening, because you told him on the outset, I'm not doing all this stuff for you. You got to find somebody else to do that. And see, if he's listening, but then again, he might be thinking, remember now, you're dealing with someone who's used to getting their way.
Yep.
You're used to someone who breaks down any resistance. So he might feel like, whenever I talk to her, this might be the day.
Yep.
The weather and the atmosphere and the barometer might be just right. So she might be right at that point in her life where she's now willing to listen to everything that I say and do what I want to do just for this little bit of time. And she might discover that she likes it. See, that's the way he works it. And that's what we have our inner voices. We talk to ourselves. We tell us.
And I've been really clear with this guy. I'm like, listen, this is just not going to go anywhere. We're good right here where we are. You want to hang out sometime, go grab food, you want to go watch the game or whatever, I'm your girl. But outside of that, deuces.
Because he's used to getting his way.
He is. I know.
Breaking down any resistance that might be there.
He is.
And that's why he keeps coming back. He's like, okay, we didn't work today, but we'll come back a week and a half later, or maybe a month later, and we might catch it just right at that time. And that's what he's thinking, because you're talking to someone who is used to getting their way all the time.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with somebody like that, that's all they know.
Yes, you better believe it, because your observation is always the same. I've never yet had a different, like I said, a different viewpoint of him doing anything different. It's the same. And that helps me. That helps me, because now it makes sense. Because he said something to me a while ago. He said, you challenge me. And I thought, well, why you want to be trying to talk to somebody who's you perceive them as a challenge to you?
Because everybody's a challenge, and number one, he wants someone. Everybody wants somebody unique. Everybody wants somebody that's special to them. If you just go with all the people that just laid down and gave you what you wanted, you say there's nothing special about that. But if you can get somebody who piques your interest, who challenges your intellect, then that's what you'll look for that for eternity. In other words, you being there and your being there is going to keep them thinking about, well, she's always going to challenge me, and that'll keep me on top of my game, as opposed to, what can I do? Whatever you like, whatever you like, whatever you like. And then he gets mad because, he's not being challenged anymore. Now, some people count on that, and that's all they've ever had. That's all they ever want.
Training for me as a woman to always keep up a man challenged. Like, dude, like, come on, man.
Exactly. You're not in a chess game with this person. It's like, why I gotta challenge you? How about you? Why can't we just have a conversation?
Hello? I can't keep in constant build a man mode. That exactly. Is like that.
He should be building himself.
Exactly.
And I could say, but I've had to tell a lot of women, I'm sorry, I had to tell a lot of women, they look at guys like, who is that? The $6 million man, and they're Oscar Goldman. And they got to be the ones to rebuild him. We can make him better. We can Why you got to do that?
No.
Why you got to be Oscar Goldman? Why you got to be the one to rebuild him?
It's exhausting.
Exactly. Why do that? Why not just help
them together? To me, it's not attractive to me. I don't like it. I'm sorry.
You will find there are a lot of women who like to rebuild the guy because then they make them what they want them to be. And and how they want to be, and then they want to take credit. See, I made him. He didn't do this. He didn't dress right. He didn't do that. He didn't know. He didn't have manners. He didn't do that. But I changed him, and I made him this, that, the other. That's nice, But then again, if you had to re-raise somebody,
hello.
I mean, I don't get that. Where was he all this time before you showed up? And what would he have been? I mean, caveman. I don't know. A lot of people don't, I can see you have to worry about where do you want to go. And to me, it's always been, okay, where are you now and where are we going?
Right.
We can't do anything about where you've been.
Right.
I'm sorry, we can't do it. We can't do a damn thing about where you've been. That wherever you've been, that's where you were. But right now, where are you now and where are you going? What's your potential? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to say? And then we see if we can, as my grandmother used to say, set horses. Can we sit down in the same place?
Yes.
And can we sit down in the same place? Is this where we're trying to go? And it's not always going to be all the time. Even the branches on a tree don't all go in one direction. You see, they spread out and they have the leaves on them. The thing is, you want to be able to say, you can grow and I can help you grow. I can grow and you can help me grow. And we don't have to be at odds like it's a chess game all the time.
Right.
And as long as we're not going too far out of bounds, we ought to be able to, provide stimulation instead of stagnation.
Exactly. And that's the thing. There's no stimulation from him to me. It's always a task from him to me.
You got a task.
And a task is always something to help him.
Exactly. Get him accomplish his task.
And look, and I'm like, dude, listen, I have had, oh my gosh, I've had enough of it, because let me say this, and then we can wrap this up, because we're going to talk again, because I know the comments going to be like, how did I get in touch with Dr. Kornegay? Y'all need to talk again, because no, seriously, because I respect you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And I respect you as well.
You always keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? You keep it 100, and I appreciate that about you.
To me lying. To me lying.
So, I think that for me, I can now understand why he perceived what I was telling him as a judgment, because he knows that because I don't like my observation of his behavior, it keeps him at a certain standstill coming into Mel's world. And I think that but it does make sense now, because, after time would go by, he would call, I'd be like, what, I said to him recently, I said, what are you calling me for? Like, I didn't understand it until he was like, Mel, you keep it 100 with me.
Right. Exactly. He needs somebody to be truthful with him. And you've given him clues. He just wasn't listening. You said, when are you going to ask me what you want from me? Why hasn't he? I mean, you've provided clues. I mean, exactly. I mean, you picked up the phone when you saw it was him on ringing. So at least maybe to see if anything changed. But the thing is, What can I do for you to make
No,
you happy?
listen, here lately, I have not picked up the phone to see if anything's changed
Right.
because I have accepted the fact
Exactly who he is
that
and what
I
he does
saw
and
what
what he
I
means.
saw. He is who he is.
Right.
Deuces, I'm cool
He
with it.
represents
I'm
what he represents. And
with,
see, that's the key. With
yeah,
you, it's got to be a thing where, like, you already said what you want. He wasn't listening. And because he wasn't listening, that already told you quietly in your mind, well, he's not listening because I already asked him when, did he ever ask me what I needed? And he obviously didn't hear me when I said that.
mm-hmm.
So he's not paying attention. He's only centered on, and even non-verbally, it's what you want, what
Right.
he wants, as opposed to what I want, what I might want.
Right.
And if he's not doing that, then, and he hasn't shown the potential to do that, then you don't need to be around.
Exactly.
So you don't need to be around.
So okay with it. So when I'm like, well, I don't understand why you're calling me. Like it just didn't make sense with me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'll get, well, Mel, you keep it 100 with me, and you challenge me. And I'm like, yeah, but do you understand that is exhausting to me? Like
Exactly.
I am tired.
And that's not what you're looking for. See, that's the thing. That's not what
Dr. Kornegay.
and maybe he needs to talk to somebody and tell him, okay, that's not what she's looking for. Okay. Maybe some women play those games, and that's what they do. They try to challenge the guy and lead him on and egg him on, chase him, let him chase her until she catches it. That's the term they use. But a lot of times nowadays, a lot of people feel like they don't have time for that. It's like, what do you want? Let's talk about it for a minute. If you think you can do it, fine. Let's see. I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to hold your arm's length to make sure you are what you say you are and you do what you say you're going to do.
Right.
You get caught in a lie and you will be called out for that lie if you get caught in it. And then you see how things work out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just aren't, it's kind of crazy. The mask slips after a couple of months. That's why I've always tried to tell people, you got to know people in all seasons, their winter, their summer, their spring, their fall. You got to see how do they act when they're disappointed.
Yep.
Do they celebrate? Do they do self-destructive things when they celebrate?
Yep.
A lot of people can't handle a good thing.
Yep.
Like I say, don't threaten me with a good time. A lot of people don't know how to act when they're supposed to be celebrating being happy.
That's heavy.
And they really, it is. And they do self-destructive things. Yep. Do you want to be hooked up with somebody like that? Because you go in the circles that you travel in and the people that you're around when the Black Caucus is in town or this, that, the other, if this person is going to be an extension of you, will they be an accurate representation of what you want to put forward? Or is it going to be somebody you're going to be embarrassed about?
No.
You can't bring in there with you.
No.
You put a gorilla, you put a tuxedo on a gorilla. And you put a tuxedo on a gorilla, and then it's like, they might look nice, but
you know what I'm saying? Until he sits down at the table and starts smacking and chewing with his mouth open, and he looking like, really? No, yes, you knew he was that way. You just thought you could dress him up because he looks a certain way,
or he meets a certain need.
You thought it was going to be okay. No, thank you. I am happily single. And that's another topic that we need to
we can get on that too. Can you be happily single?
Always a shock when somebody says, "Oh, he's a lucky man," and I just chuckle. I don't even bother to say, "Oh, what man?" Because I know what they do. They scan your hand. That's what they do. They do the scan. Right. So they're looking to see if you have a ring on or if you got the ring imprint.
Yeah, exactly. If it's faded over there, it's a little faded.
Look to see that, and then they're thinking, like what's going on here? And so I always, every time I see it, I go, here we go.
Yeah, how come she's single?
Happens, and then it's, are you involved in it? No, because you done already scanned my hand, so you already know that I don't have it. Well, somebody must be slipping, and I just am like, you know what? Why don't you just say hello? My name is so and so.
They're trying to find. Men have been taught to find a cool way to be remembered.
Look, hello works.
Well,
hello works.
That's not sophisticated enough.
That's the problem. Stop trying to act like you need to find this suave approach.
That's what they've been told. That's all. Look at TV. That's all they get. Right. Wear this cologne and you'll get all the women. Dress in this and you'll get all the women. Do this. All you got to do to get a man's attention is, and you'll get all the women at the back part of that sentence. And that's what they do, because men look at it that way. That's the way they think. That's the way our mentality works. Do this and you'll get all the women. Do this and you'll get the woman of your choice. Do that. And that's what they do. And that's how people make millions of dollars, but nevertheless, it may probably wrong, but that's what they've been taught. Dazzle her, this, that, the other, instead of just coming in and speaking to her like a human being.
Exactly.
And but see, they don't know that. The time they figure that out, they've already blown it.
True. Very true. I'm telling you, it's the truth. It is the sure enough truth. I was just like, every time I'm like, oh, I just want to keep going. Can I get out this store fast enough? I'm looking for the exit. I'm like, I don't want to be bothered with this. Just say hello. Tell me your name. Ask me my name. That is normal to me because I don't need your representative. I understand that you're going to bring that representative
exactly. You're going to get the press agent.
I get that, right? I get it, but you could really like pump the brakes on how long he stays around because guess what? You know me. Well, you see me dressed up when I'm at work. You know how I can come, right? But I'm most comfortable like this.
Yeah.
And with some sweatpants on, jeans, and my flip-flops, for me to get dressed up is effort.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Effort.
But a lot of people
really have to like you to take my hat off, to get myself all together. You got to bring something that's got me excited that I'm getting ready to hang out with you because my time is valuable.
Hopefully it's a worthwhile occasion to do that because it's like something that make you want to do that instead of opposed to
can we have fun?
Yeah.
Can we just go have fun? You know what I'm saying? And it's just, I don't need all of the pop and the fluff. I don't need it. I get it that you may perceive that
because you want to because they're trying to impress you.
Exactly.
They're trying to impress you.
And I'm like, that doesn't work with me. It just doesn't work with me. I mean, really.
And so you're one of the rare ones that don't. You got to remember, you're in Washington, D.C., the Washington metropolitan area, Washington, Baltimore, Richmond, major metropolitan cities where people dress up and doll themselves up and want to impress people. And that's the problem. When you have that, you don't know who's who here. It would be nice if we get all dressed like it's Saturday morning, but then it's like most of the time it's Monday morning. We're going to work and we got to be business-like. We got and be ready for the power lunch and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people don't know that, especially in this area. You never know. And like you say, you never get a second chance to make a good first impression.
Right.
And here it's business. It's always business, conservative type of business, stylish, dress a certain way.
What do you do?
Exactly.
They're always trying to figure out how much money you make.
Thank you.
Always all of these criteria, and I'm just like,
before they say hello,
what the heck is going on? Like, even when women do it to men, I don't like it. I think it's wrong. From my work, when I was doing nails and in the aesthetics field, I remember I had this client. She was self-sufficient woman. And she, started to talk about this guy. And I was like, oh, this is new. She must have met somebody, whatever. And she said something like she wanted some tennis shoes and he better buy them. I was like,
okay, why had he better? Why is it imperative that he do this?
I was like,
he commit this task.
And I was working and I stopped and I said, well, wait a minute. Why he better? He better. And look, it's something about when you speak the truth to people, it pauses them.
Exactly.
It always hits them. And
it makes them stop.
Well, why is it that he better do something for you that you can do for yourself? Why is that a better for him? Like, I don't understand that.
What did she say?
What could she say? That's the whole point about when you say the truth to somebody, they get stuck. And I'm like, your better is not going to serve you well. And I went right back on the filing the nails and whatever. And I was like, you know what? Let me just stop right there because now I'm looking at you like, what kind of woman are you?
Exactly. What are your expectations, and why do you come with these expectations of a gentleman that you could have like you said, you could have purchased these things for yourself? Why are you doing this? Why should he have to do this? I don't get that.
He better.
He
like,
better.
what the heck is going on here?
But then again, you got to look at where she comes from, and she might have been raised in a circumstance we're in by a angry, vengeful female who says, I'm not going. I love my daughters, my nieces, etc., and I'm not going to have them be used like I was used. Which means they're going to. If he comes in your life, he better be prepared to pay for your time. And I've heard that said by a lot of women.
But men know that.
Pay
You
for your time.
already know that. When you're coming to court a woman, you all men to, I think, that could be wrong. I think you come into it knowing I have to take her out. I'm
Right.
going to have to spend money. I'm going to have
Mhm.
to put gas in my car. I'm going to have to wash my car. I'm going to have to clean my car because
Could
you're
be,
trying to make a good impression. So you already coming into getting to know someone, knowing that the man is going to spend money. Here's the quiet as it's kept. Women spend money too.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you know that somebody is coming to take you out, you got to go get your hair done. You want to go get your nails done. You're going to go find a new outfit. You may, and then whatever that entails, whether you need shoes, handbag, clothes.
Yeah.
So the quiet as it's kept, women know that she has to present herself in a certain way too, right? So
Right.
she's going to spend her money too. Now,
Mhm.
you may just see him spending the money because he's going to pay for dinner, or he's
Mhm.
going to pay for the movies, or he's going to pay for whatever it is that,
Right.
that you're going to go do. So it's like, look, the game for me is don't play the game.
Right.
That's just it for me. Just don't play the game.
But you got too many people that are used to playing the game, and then if you want to come out with a new set of rules, you probably let people know way ahead of time, and see if you can get a fan club or a base. Because so many times, especially in this area, it's about how things appear and what they look like, and who's this and who's that. And a lot of times, like you say, if you have someone that's real, it's like, I'd rather not do that. What's wrong with you? It's, well, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather not. It's kind of weird. How are you going to determine who's who? How long they're going to hang around?
Right.
And what do you want to do? And like you say, to get that first face value, it's not working because this isn't what you wanted. This is what you thought it was going to be.
Right.
And like the original friend that you had, like I said, they're so used to running into people who will do anything to get what they want. So that means go, run, fetch, jump, how high, how long you want me to stay in the air, that kind of thing. And they'll do that because they think what they're going to get at the end.
Yeah,
and having worked, like you said, you alluded to the fact that I was a police officer working in Potomac. You have people that work in certain high income places where, for some women, it's just a matter of all they want is a nanny to take care of the kids and a housekeeper to keep the place clean, and they give less than a damn about anything else. They give less than really. They ain't got to work nowhere. They can go buy clothes and maybe join a charitable organization, this, that, the other. But they let the nannies raise the kids.
Well and nice, but do you love him? But that's all well and nice.
That's
but
a good question.
Do you love him?
That's a good question. I mean, you got to ask them. And once again, you get right back to the original premise of what do they consider love? What have they been raised to believe that love is? What do they think love motivates us to do? And if this for some of them, well, if he loved me, he'll take care of me and give me what I want when I want it. Okay. Okay. If you can find somebody that can, bravo. If you can find somebody to do that to you, well, bravo. But
but do you love him?
Exactly.
That's what I want to know. If he
can force myself to love him because he takes care of all my needs.
If the money falls off, do you love him to say, you know what? Look, all while you thought I was shopping and see this, I'm wired a little different. Okay. I've been tucking something away.
Well, they have their own little stash.
A rainy day comes around and you fall off. We gonna be all right for a little bit, give you
if she's got it, yeah. But a lot of women, they say I won't say them. That's not fair.
No,
there are some women. There are some women who are out the door.
I'm suggesting that type of woman you just described is smart enough to tuck something away for that rainy day.
It would be advisable.
Do that if you love him.
It would be advisable. Do you do that if you love him? I think you do that if you love yourself. I think you do that. It depends. Maybe, hopefully, you'll develop some affection for this individual over the course of time.
Oh,
but there are some people who will stay and go through 30 years of pure hell just so they don't have to be poor anymore.
True. Boom. Oh Lord.
No. I mean, I hate to put it that way. I hate to deliver that kind of news, but just from observation, I'm convinced. Like, my purpose on this earth is I've been sent here to fill out, just observe and fill out my report and go back and tell them this is what I've seen. And there are some people who, quite frankly, will sit there and actually, as long as it meets their needs, they'll stick it out with them.
Yeah, you got
And they
somebody
can have the least amount of interest in
like,
person.
really? That's all it takes is can they pay half the bills? Like, you will just settle for that?
Yes, there are people that will say, if you put them in a mansion and you put them and let them have a car that they want, and they can do what they want whenever they want and go to Turks and Caicos or wherever they want to go, whenever they decide to go there and have a girls trip, they don't see a problem. They don't see a problem. It's like, okay, I want to live like this. I want to have a good time. A lot of times it's because they had no idea that emotionally they could have such a better life.
Yeah.
But then again, materialistically, maybe not. And they're willing to put up with things, and they're willing to put up with the man who's not going to make those demands upon them because of the fact that, I'm giving you everything you want. You got credit cards, you got cars, you got the kids are taken care of as long as they're washed and clean and don't embarrass us. Who could ask for anything more? And a lot of people don't ask for more because they don't know if more exists.
Oh, let's end it right there. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. It's the truth. It's the truth. But listen, we could go on and on and on. Right. I really, really, really appreciate this.
Well, thanks for having me.
And, we're going to talk again because there's some other things that I want to talk with you about. But so let's do this. Where can people find you if you're available for therapy, right?
Yes, I am available at Bridges Wellness Group. That number for that, the best way is to call. That's 240-770. 775. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 770-7204. 770-7204. That office, we do virtual and office visits. The office visits would be at in Hyattsville, Maryland, right off of Route 450, not too far from where the intersection of 450 and 410 is. I am available for that, or we do virtual visits as well.
Okay.
So we have a working laptop, we can do that. We try to help out. We talk to just about everybody.
Yeah.
From teenagers to adults to senior citizens, actually.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure their way through. So thanks for having me.
And young men, you're more than welcome. And young men, I think I want to recommend you because, with everything that's going on with the news, and you touched a little bit about it with the black kid with the gun versus the white kid with the gun. I think that that's something that we could go a little bit further into because for me with this platform, the tagline is courage to cross over. So it's the letter B and then it's icon. Like, I want you to be your iconic self, who you were designed to be, your best person. Right. And so for me, as you know, from working in the behavioral health field, it's very, very important to be comfortable in your authentic skin.
Yes.
Because I think that when you're comfortable in your authentic skin, you are your best self.
I think so. I will do that.
I want to thank you again for your time, and we will talk again. Okay. I want to see what comes back through the comments once we get this over to Amira and she does all of the editing. I know it's a long video, but that's okay because I understand now long videos are good for YouTube, so I'm still trying to lay out the land on all that. But I want to thank you again for your time, Dr. Kornegay.
Thank you for having me.
You have a great rest of the weekend. And
you
thank
too.
you, Ms. Kornegay, for allowing me to have this time. I appreciate you, Miss Angie. We will talk again, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again. Take care.
You too.
Right.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, V Icon family. I am back. Listen, I am about to wrap up my day of working with making some videos, some content for the YouTube channel, and I just reviewed my conversation with my friend Dr. Kornegay, and I really think that you all are going to enjoy this conversation. There were several talking points that Dr. Kornegay said that I want to dive a little bit deeper into. I'm new working with what do you call this? Google Meets. And so the technology is still something that I need to learn. because I was trying to keep the screen where you could see me and him. But it seems to be that when I would talk, the screen would focus on me, and then when he would talk, the screen would focus on him. So I didn't get to have that more interactive conversation that was really happening in real time, but that's okay. Like I said, we'll work through the technical stuff and just get better. And so I just wanted to thank you guys. If you watch the entire video, and it's a 2-part video, thank you so much for watching it, and there's more to come. I did want to shout out Pink Passion. I don't know if you guys can see my shirt. It says it's me season. And so I saw this. I was introduced to a challenge on YouTube, and this company was participating in the challenge. And so when I looked at everything and I read up on it, I was like, you know what, I really like that. I like the mission behind the concept. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this because I ordered more than one shirt. So there'll be another video coming up because I am in this season of my life. I've done all I can do, as far as giving so much of my time to others. I still have a heart for others and to help others, but I have learned not to deplete myself so that the goals and things that I want to focus on get pushed to the back burner, and then I'm out of gas. And I gotta get myself refueled to get back on what Mel needs to do for Mel. So anywho, I hope that you guys again enjoyed this conversation. Please leave comments. I'd like to know your thoughts. What stuck out the most to you that Dr. Kornegay was saying, or something that I said? And stay tuned because there's more to come from the Be Icon Courage to Crossover platform. So again, have a good evening. This is the holiday weekend, so be safe. COVID is still out here, right? And we're going to talk about that because I just saw there was a tagline on the news about another strand of the virus coming out. And so I do want to talk to you guys about my work with the COVID task force for the District of Columbia. Very, very interesting contract. So I want to talk about it from the work aspect of it and from serving those in the community with the work that we were doing. And I'm also going to talk about how it affected me personally. So stay tuned again and take care. And remember to be kind to yourself, love on yourself, be kind to others, right? And take care of your mental health. Please, it's so very important. You have nothing to be ashamed about. If you are not feeling good, go talk to a professional and get some tools to help you get stronger, to help you heal, and to help you start focusing on your goals and how you can be your best icon self. Okay? We'll talk again soon. Thanks, guys. Love you.